Leaders must go when they lose their moral authority, hedge fund founder John Armitage told the BBC. In the case of Johnson, the quote, point of no return has been passed. Armitage is the founder of Egerton Capital. The billionaires donated more than £3 million to the Conservatives, more than £500,000 since Johnson took office, according to a report by The Guardian. The Prime Minister is also under pressure within his own party. He's accused of celebrating at government headquarters during the strict lockdown period and also of making false claims about opposition leader Starmer, who was then threatened by demonstrators. When Donald Trump and his very, very good friend Xi Jinping signed the first ceasefire agreement in January 2020 after the country's almost 2-year trade war, not a word seemed big enough for the US president to appreciate his beneficial work. The treaty, which committed the People's Republic to additional imports worth $200 billion from the United States over a period of 24 months, is truly historic, Trump boasted. It corrects the mistakes of the past and will bring economic justice and security to American workers, farmers, and families. Well, in the meantime, said 24 months have passed, and the conclusion that Chad Brown, trade expert at Washington's Peterson Institute for International Economics, now drew could not be clearer. The only undoubtedly historical aspect of this agreement, wrote The Economist in a comprehensive analysis, is the magnitude of its failure. However, as the US Trade Representative Catherine Tai has now confirmed, the People's Republic did not even come close to achieving the promised values during the entire period. According to Brown's calculations, things looked best for agricultural imports, which China increased significantly to a good $61 billion. However, a total of almost $74 billion had been contractually targeted for 2021 and 2022. So the success rate was only 83% despite the growth. It fared much worse for cars, airplanes, and other manufactured goods, where the People's Republic achieved just 59% of the promised volume. And in services and in the energy sector, the rates were even more modest at 52 and 37% respectively. If you take all sectors of the economy together, then Trump's friend Xi has only fulfilled his promise to 57%. The US government is warning of a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine before the end of next week and is relocating around 3,000 more soldiers in the NATO partner state of Poland. The soldiers of an airborne division from the US state of North Carolina should be on site early next week, the US Department of Defense said on Friday. The temporary transfer was ordered by Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin at the behest of President Joe Biden. Biden's National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan made it clear on Friday that the US government believes a Russian invasion of Ukraine is possible before the end of the Winter Olympics in China on February 20th. The US government ordered the transfer of around 2,000 soldiers to Europe at the beginning of the month. 1,700 of them should also be transferred to Poland, a neighboring country of Ukraine. 2/3 of them have already arrived, the Pentagon said on Friday. 300 additional soldiers who had been relocated to Germany are already on site. All in all, these 5,000 additional soldiers comprise a highly mobile and flexible force capable of multiple deployments, the ministry said. It's about calming the Eastern NATO partners and averting possible aggression. At the end of January, on Biden's orders, around 8,500 soldiers in the USA had already put on increased standby to enable rapid transfer to Europe if necessary. However, the president and other members of the government made it clear several times that no US soldiers would be sent to Ukraine. Tens of thousands of US soldiers are also stationed in Europe outside of times of crisis. According to the US military, there are currently more than 80,000 soldiers in Europe, including around 35,000 in Germany. The lawyer for Saudi Princess Basma Bin Saud, who has been imprisoned for almost 3 years, sees evidence that the 58-year-old was mistreated during her time in prison. In a video conversation with her, however, he held back on this topic because she was still being monitored, Henry Estramant explained in an interview with German television on Friday. The state of health of the princess had deteriorated dramatically in detention, he said. She lost 10 kilograms in weight and was almost unrecognizable in the video conversation. Basma Bin Saud, a niece of Saudi King Salman, was released with her daughter about a month ago after almost 3 years in detention without charge. Security forces arrested the two in March 2019. According to Estremont, the accusation was that they wanted to leave the country illegally. The princess can move freely in the country, but not leave the country, Estremont explained. She wanted to go to Switzerland for treatment. She has now approached the king and asked for special permission, he said. She would even be willing to accept being escorted by security guards from Saudi Arabia if she was suspected of absconding. According to the lawyer, the princess suffers from a chronic intestinal disease. Basma Bin Saud has advocated reforms in Saudi Arabia in the past. She denounced power structures and the lack of women's rights, but also declared that she was standing behind the royal family. In recent years, Saudi Arabia, under the leadership of the powerful Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, has expanded women's rights among other things. At the same time, the ruling family has been criticized for human rights violations. Numerous activists, human rights activists and intellectuals are still in prison. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.